The Vikings make multiple moves coming out of rookie minicamp, proving that anything is possible with this team. But first, the list of the NFL's international games has been revealed, with the Vikings getting prepped to head back over across the pond once again. We're going to be breaking down all that in this episode of Vikings Digest. But first, if you're a part of the nearly 84% of viewers that aren't yet subscribed and you want to stay up to date on all things Vikings, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you can stay up to date. And with that, let's hop straight into the first topic of the day, which is Euro Trip 2025. Yes, that's right. We're heading back over to Europe as we have a date with the Pittsburgh Steelers in Dublin on the September 28th in Ireland for the very first Ireland game in the played for the NFL team. And then the next week we go over to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London for a date with the Cleveland Browns on Sunday, October 5th. So this is going to be a big 2 weeks for the Minnesota Vikings, where we are going to be spending a lot of time in the UK. Obviously, I wish that I could travel over there with the team just to be in that environment. I went over to Europe last summer and it was a great place to be. There was a lot of cool cities to see, a lot of great people there to meet, and it would be great to see a lot of the Vikings fans out there in full force in the UK, in Ireland, and in London. So it's great that Minnesota is going to be expanding the brand of the Vikings to a broader audience, not only in London, that just keeps growing every year, but now in Dublin, Ireland as well. So it's going to be really exciting to see. And one person who is very excited about it is co-owner Mark Wolf on the Ireland game, speaking firstly, saying, "Playing in Ireland's first ever NFL game is an opportunity to introduce new fans to Minnesota Vikings and help the league continue to make the game of football more accessible globally. To do so against a storied franchise like the Pittsburgh Steelers adds a unique challenge that makes this even more special. We are honored to be selected for this historic game and will be anxious to see what promises to be an electric game day environment in Croke Park." Now, obviously, the Pittsburgh Steelers, we've played them over in the UK before. It was in London the first time around, as well as the Cleveland Browns. So we're no stranger to playing these teams on international soil. So we already got the previous experience there. And then with these teams being in the state that they're in, this is huge for Minnesota, where yes, we lost 2 home games because of this. That is massive. But thankfully, we're playing against 2 teams that, for all intents and purposes, don't have a quarterback. So that's a big thing for the Vikings going forward, as we can hopefully feast on these 2 teams, because we're playing them early on in the season, where if these are 2 teams that somehow figure out their quarterback situation later on in the year, that's something where we don't have to worry about that. We're playing them early in the season, where they're trying to figure out all their little struggles. We're right there to feast upon them. And as far as speaking on the London game against the Cleveland Browns, Mark Wolf was saying, "Our experiences in London have always been memorable, so to return in 2025 as the first team to play in back-to-back international games in different countries was something we could not pass up. UK fans have a history of showing up and embracing the Minnesota Vikings, creating what often feels like a home field environment, and we are hopeful that this is what we see again in 2025. So right there is where it kind of hits the nail on the head, where yes, we're losing 2 home games, but these are 2 games where when we're on international soil, you can hear how loud the Vikings fans are. You can hear the Skol chants from the field. That crowd is very lively. So yes, we lose 2 home games at US Bank Stadium, but we get 2 home games on international soil in a place where we are very much loved by the UK crowd. You hear them, you see them in the full colors in every international game, even though, yes, they don't have the choice as far as which teams are going to be going there. But when you see a team like Jacksonville and Atlanta playing in London, you're still seeing a decent amount of purple there. That is amazing to see. And it's also a great sign to show that the Vikings brand is just continuously growing, and we're getting an even wider fan base. So if we have any fans watching from the UK, whether from Dublin, whether from London, whether from Europe, from France, whether from Italy, wherever in Europe, let us know down in the comments below where you guys are watching from if you're over in Europe or the UK. We'd love to make our way over there for one video at some point. We have a lot of travel videos we want to eventually do on this channel, so that would be a great thing to be able to do and connect with some other fans. But someone else who is very high on the idea of going back over to the UK, I should say, is Kevin O'Connell, speaking on the UK game, specifically saying, "I'm certainly looking at this as a genuine great opportunity. It's one thing to play in some of these international opportunities that the NFL has done such a great job of putting together, but to be the first in such a wonderful place like Dublin, with such a great sports culture already, a great venue in Croke Park, and 82,000 plus, bigger than US Bank Stadium." And we saw what success that the NCAA had last year in having the Notre Dame game kick off this season against FSU. It was a great crowd. There was a lot of great atmosphere there with the college crowd in the game as well, leading up to the game. Everything was great. If you guys were watching the Pat McAfee show during that time, it was a pretty crazy time to be a fan of that show, watching all of that. So yes, we know that those Irish guys, they like to party. You guys would like to come out in full force. So we are expecting that for the Minnesota Vikings to make sure that feels as much like a home game as possible, with 82,000 plus in attendance. And as far as the UK atmosphere as well, he says, when you think about the opportunities to play in unique atmospheres that are experiences for your players, what better way than to play in Dublin for the first time in the regular season, which is a big deal to us. So yes, just continuing to expand that international crowd, like we've been saying, and seeing how many more Vikings fans we can get, so that if and when we finally reach that Super Bowl, we see a lot more international people travel over to see that happen for the Vikings hoist a Lombardi trophy. So we have Vikings fans from all over the world, from Canada, from America, from the UK, from Europe, from Australia, or wherever across the globe. We would love to have any Vikings fans there to see us hoist the Lombardi trophy, or in Minneapolis for the Super Bowl parade. I know that's a far cry away, but with the way things are going for the Vikings, as long as we can translate what's on paper to on the field, I am very confident that in a few years that will be happening. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. As far as the UK road trip, which is what we got to stay focused on here, is that the 2-game road trip gives us an unbelievable opportunity to take our team on the road, get away from a lot of the day-to-day things that may be pulling players in other directions. It almost feels like a training camp. It almost feels like a trip to allow us to come together closer than ever, build our team camaraderie and culture even stronger, which has been such a strong asset to us over 3 years here. So this is also something where we've seen a lot of players in the past talk about negative experiences going over to London, where they don't like the field over there, they don't like the time change, they don't just want to be there, they're just eager to get back home. So no one on the team is really happy, and the team morale kind of dips a little bit. KOC wants to do the opposite, where he wants players to enjoy going over to London, being with those UK fans, being with their teammates, and forming a stronger bond than ever, where, yes, over the course of the season, teams travel a lot. So you do have a lot of team building exercise to do that. But those are on short flights that are 5 hours max. This is a flight to Europe, to over the UK, where that's going to be 6+ hours at least of traveling. So that's a lot of time for the Vikings players to come together along with the staff, form a different bond, and form a stronger bond for this team that makes them a force to be reckoned with. We already know the team chemistry is off the charts with last season, how they performed within the locker room, seeing how players are with each other. Ivan Pace, Josh Metellus, Cam Bynum is no longer there, but Byron Murphy is there, Harry Smith, obviously. Then on the offensive side, you got JJ McCarthy winning over that locker room. Obviously, JJ is who he is. Aaron Jones is also a big, lively force in the locker room as well. So there's a lot of things here where Minnesota, the team chemistry is already pitch perfect. And how can you make that even better? You go on a big road trip to try and form that bond even stronger by going on international soil, winning games that aren't technically home games, but are home games because of the fans being so adamant about being Vikings fans and so passionate. But you also have that as far as going over there, coming back, and getting to know players that maybe you wouldn't have been able to get to know on those shorter road trips, or getting to know players even deeper, and seeing how this Vikings team can just be a culture that is a force to be reckoned with, and something that teams take notes from. The NFL is a league of parity. It's a copy-paste league where if it works for one team, another team is going to try and replicate it. So what do the Vikings do here? They want to be the trendsetters in being the number one in team culture, like we have been for the past couple of years, and this is a chance to expand on that even further. But what do you guys think about all the games going over on in the UK? Do you guys think this is a great move for the Vikings, or are you guys upset about losing 2 home games? If you guys are watching from the UK or from Europe, let us know from whereabouts you guys are watching, and let us know how excited you are to see the Vikings come back to your city or close to it if you guys are near those cities. Let us know what you guys have to say down in the comments below. But that's going to take us into our second topic of the day, which is surprise tryout signings. So out of Minnesota today, the Vikings rounded out their roster and added their defense to their defense on Monday with the announced signings of outside linebacker Matt Harmon and defensive lineman Elijah Williams. Both participated in Minnesota's rookie camp as tryout players. So if you guys aren't familiar with who these guys are, Harmon played 49 games at Kent State from 2018 to 2024. Recording 105 tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, and 7 passes defended, an interception, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. During 2024, he posted a career best in total tackles with 56, so over half of his total tackles in that season alone, 6.5 tackles for loss, so again, over half of them again, and then 2 sacks, accounting for half. So a native of Rockwood, Michigan, Harmon attended Carlson High School, and this is something where he's coming off of a massive year and exactly why he landed a tryout with the Vikings. You look at his career totals and you look at last season, he did half of those career totals in one season. So if he's able to get an opportunity and shine, whether it's the preseason, practice squad, or whatever, goes to show that anything can happen with this team. Doesn't matter if you're drafted, undrafted, or a rookie tryout. It doesn't matter. You still have a shot. We saw that with Adam Thielen. We've seen it with other guys as well throughout the history of the NFL and with the Minnesota Vikings. Guys that they don't get drafted, they're unsigned free, or they don't even get undrafted free agents, or they just get a tryout and they just shine throughout that. So that's another big thing. And then Williams as well played in 42 games at Morgan State from 2021 to 24, recording 216 tackles, 52 tackles for loss, 31 sacks, 3 passes defended, 3 forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. In his final season with the Bears, he registered career highs in games with 12 and sacks as well, and tackles for loss were the second most in a season in his career, trailing only his total from the 2022 season. Williams, who logged 4 sacks as a freshman, tallied at least 7 sacks in each of his final 3 seasons from 22 to 24. He is from Jersey City, New Jersey. So obviously these guys, they know how to play ball. We look at their numbers, they've put up great numbers. Now, what are those numbers going up against? That's a different story compared to the numbers that the players that the D1 guys are going up against. But still, whether it's D1, D2, D3, there's still a level of football IQ, there's still a level of skill, there's still a big talent level there. And what the Minnesota Vikings did, they went out and got tryouts for guys that are kind of almost gems at this point, where if you look at other teams and what those guys have been able to do, coming from a school like Kent State, we've seen guys come into the NFL from that university as well. You see guys as well from Morgan State. We've seen it happen before, where it's not unprecedented to see guys not only from these universities make it in the NFL, but also as undrafted free agents or as rookie tryout guys that make a way onto an NFL roster permanently. Is it the Vikings? Is it another team? That remains to be seen. But for right now, it seems like these guys are going to be playing in the preseason, and I'm excited to see what they're able to do and see what this Vikings preseason brings. Might be the closest I've watched a preseason in a long time, and I can't believe I'm saying that just because preseason football typically isn't the greatest. However, with the Minnesota Vikings making so many undrafted free agency signings, 20 tryouts, and signing 2 of them, it seems like this will be a growing trend for the Vikings as we head into preseason, seeing a lot of rookie undrafted guys and just a lot of rookies getting their shot and seeing what they have to showcase. So it will be interesting to watch no matter what, even if our starters aren't playing. But what do you guys think about these rookie signings? What do you guys think about everything we covered in this video? Let us know what you guys have to say down in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Vikings Digest. I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.